While I was preparing for my entrance exams for medicine, I realized that, okay, this is not what I want to do.
So I started the business just like you during like COVID time, and then that was the perfect time to like, okay, if I want
Lock in.
right, like if I don't want to do engineering as a job,
Yeah.
this is the only time to like make it out.
I had like 1.5 million views on my first LinkedIn post. People started reaching out saying, Shreya, you write so well, can you write for us?
You didn't even like finish the first year of medicine, right?
When I told my parents that I don't want to study medicine, my dad's response was, yeah, I was wondering, like, why were you even trying for this? I thought you would, take up literature.
So you're driven more by money?
I think I'm driven more by freedom because even if I have a business that runs, even if it's boring, but it's making good money and it runs by itself, I have time to create more content, to travel, to do everything I want.
If you want more sales and leads for your business from LinkedIn, I've brought in the best person for you. Her name is Shreya, and she's a killer at LinkedIn. She's even called the LinkedIn Girl. So there's no one better for you, to be honest. And she's here. I'm going to dive into her beliefs, her story, her personal branding tips, every single thing. But before we get into that, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more future updates. Without further ado, let's get into it. Hey Shreya, welcome to the podcast. Happy to have you here, man.
Hey Dan, good to be here as well. Thank you so much.
I want to know, like, so you're the LinkedIn girl, right? Mm-hmm. But before we get into all the technical stuff, I want to know what's your story, like, what led you to this point, like, before you even started, like, to make money.
Yeah.
I want to know what's your journey like.
I grew up in Mumbai. I've only been in Dubai for the last 3 years. So I grew up in Mumbai in India, pretty
Wait,
good
how old
city.
are you now?
What?
How old are you now?
Somewhere in my mid-20s.
Okay.
Yeah. And I've always been a fan of writing. I've always enjoyed it. It came very naturally to me. I've been writing since I was super young. And obviously for myself, it was not content or copy, but just something for myself. And over time, I continued doing that. I thought it would be more of a passion because I didn't know anybody who was making money through writing. And I didn't even know what kind of career you could have through writing. Typically, I would think of novels, and that's pretty much it, like J.K. Rowling or Stephen King, and that's it. And as in how I got older, I decided we'll be a bit practical here. So I decided to pursue medicine as a career and then, write on the side while I'm waiting for my patients. That was my dream life in my head.
Yeah.
But while I was preparing for my entrance exams for medicine, I realized that, okay, this is not what I want to do. I want to write. I don't know how it will work as a career. I don't know if it makes people money, but I just want to do that. And so I switched from whatever I was studying. I decided to study literature. I moved to Dublin. I studied at Trinity. So I studied literature and philosophy for 3 years. And I started freelancing in my first year of college. And that wasn't planned either because once I moved to Dublin, I started, just being a part of these events, having a lot of exposure to the international world, let's say. And the CEO of LinkedIn had come over for an event. So he was speaking there. And after the interview, I just went up to him and I was like, listen, this is my LinkedIn profile. I've just joined university. I don't know what to do with this. I'm not looking for a job. So what should I do with LinkedIn? And he did not give me any hacks. There was nothing like that. But I just went home.
How long ago was this?
This was 6 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you
6 years ago. Yeah. And I met him and then I just wrote about meeting him, my experience about meeting him in like my notepad because that's what I always do. I write. And just before I went to bed, I thought, you know what? I met the CEO of LinkedIn. Why not post this on LinkedIn? So I just like copy pasted that full thing. It was over by 4,000 something characters because this was an essay and this is a LinkedIn post. Yeah. So I, totally cropped it down, published it. That was my first ever post on LinkedIn. And a day or two later, the post blew up. So I had like 1.5 million views on my first LinkedIn post. People started reaching out saying, Shreya, you write so well. Can you write for us? And then I
After
started
the first post.
I got like
Wow,
4 or
okay.
5 clients from my first post. And because it was definitely a well-written post, it was a narrative story, it was engaging, it was interesting, it had a lot of emotional value as well. And people loved it. So I got my first 4 clients. I made like 200, 300 euros in my first month. I was very happy. And yeah, kind of just, continued from there and started an agency.
Were you always like journaling and stuff when you were young?
Funny enough, I don't enjoy journaling, so I never journaled. It
Okay.
wasn't like a daily journaling practice, but I would write about just anything, things I was thinking about.
It's
I used to
journaling.
write, not really. I think journaling is maybe more of a way to process what happened throughout the day, is how I understand it, how people do it. Like, let's say gratitude journaling, for example. I wrote a lot of poetry, I wrote a lot of essays, I wrote a lot for my school as well. And my teachers, luckily enough, they saw that I had a lot of talent or interest or value towards writing, speaking, presenting, leadership, and they used to always nominate me and put me first, so I had a lot of opportunity. I used to always be first in all of these competitions, so elocution, writing, speaking, and I think that kind of stuff as well. So writing speeches, writing again, like poems, essays, and not just about my day, but things that intrigued me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, but you studied literature and philosophy, right?
Yes.
Okay. But before that, you were going into medicine.
Yes.
You didn't even like um, finish the first year of medicine, right?
No,
There's entrance exam.
I gave an entrance
Yeah.
exam and I decided not to
Oh,
apply for
did your parents
universities.
force you to study medicine?
No, they didn't
Okay.
actually.
Very
Funny
Asian
enough,
thing.
no, it wasn't. I don't know. I kind of lucked out there. Funny enough, when I told my parents that I don't want to study medicine, my dad's response was, "Yeah, I was wondering, like, why were you even trying for this? I thought you would, take up literature." But they never wanted to tell me what to do. They just wanted me to make a decision.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was always my choice.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it was your because it's pragmatic,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
but then you move into literature and philosophy.
yeah.
Did you like? Did learning literature and philosophy in school help you with writing, or do you feel like it's just like like a university degree?
Um, it helped me a lot with how I thought. I think I didn't focus a lot on my education, to be honest, after a point, because after the first few months in college, I started my business. So I used to attend my lectures because I was an art student. I had very few lectures so that we could get more reading time. I think I had like 15 hours a week or
Oh
something.
wow.
So I had very few lectures. So I had a lot of time in between to hang out in the business school, to attend all these seminars, events, workshops. I pitched at a lot of startup events. I won funding for my ideas. And then I would just go back home and I was on sales calls all day. I was in Europe, so it was a good time to, just have a lot of time for sales calls during the evening. And I used to work from like 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. or something. I was
Wow.
writing content for my clients. So I had a very packed schedule and I was just kind of, sticking to that. And the most interesting value I found from my philosophy degree was one of the first lessons we had was how to argue. So it's how do you make a logical argument towards anything you write. It took me a lot of time. I didn't quite understand the value of it while I was actually in college. But now when I have to even like write content, obviously, but even when I have to respond to comments, when I have to argue with people
Yeah.
online, when I have to be in podcasts and I have to make my point, that part of my degree really helps me out. And the most interesting thing is obviously that COVID hit while I was in university. So while I went to college for the first year, for the next 2 years, I was just in my room. I decided not to fly back home. So I still built a pretty solid business. I was like, this is a good time to, just work.
Yeah.
And I did that. And I was supposed to do a 4-year degree, but that's when, things started picking up. So I was like, I don't want to do the final year. I don't want to sit in this room again and, have to pay this entire college
Yeah.
fee and this and that. So yeah, that's how
Did you drop out?
I kind of did. I got a degree. I got a bachelor's instead of an honors.
Okay, honors is like one more
So
year, right?
one more
Yeah.
year.
Okay.
So that's my dropping out. Yeah.
I didn't even make it. I didn't even make it that far, to be
Yeah.
honest. Yeah.
A lot of people didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a 1.5 years into, I was in engineering, so I'm an electrical engineer.
Yeah.
Fucking boring. I was like,
I can imagine.
So
Yeah.
I started the business just like you during like COVID
Yeah.
time, and then that was the perfect time to like, okay, if I want
Lock in.
right, like if I don't want to do engineering as a job,
Yeah.
this is the only time to like make it out.
Yeah.
So that's what I did as well. Okay, so but you built a like, if you could tell me like your brand right now on LinkedIn, because I've not actually seen it.
Okay.
So I've wanted to just ask you, are you mainly pitching on LinkedIn like, hey, this is what I do, this is my services, or do you also like, are you trying to build a personal brand around it, like your beliefs?
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think makes a strong personal brand in your
Yeah.
case?
So when I started writing on LinkedIn, I used to write about anything I wanted that would kind of aligned towards business advice, let's put it that way, because LinkedIn is a professional platform. So I had started out as a freelancer. I used to write a lot about how I found my clients, my experience working with them, all again stories. And especially because I'm Indian, I would get a lot of Indian freelancers message me asking how I was charging so much, how I was actually getting paid what I wanted to charge, how I was getting paid in advance. That was not a thing at all. How I was getting paid a retainer instead of getting paid like per word or per hour or something like that. So I brought in a lot of shifts to the industry, and I noticed this when I started writing about it, that people were really struggling with these things, even if they had like 20 years of experience in writing or whatever, right? So my content started evolving towards that, more of my stories, but also educational, helping build the industry, helping people understand exactly how to work in a way that favors them and does not
How to
exploit
position
them.
yourself.
How to position yourself, yeah.
Okay.
How to position yourself, how to have that confidence, etc. That worked out. And then, of course, I think the most important way to build a brand is that it has to evolve as you evolve. So my content has always kept changing. So I started out with something like that. In between, I was writing mostly about like moving to Dubai and what life is like, speaking, presenting, doing more of these things. Now I write more about LinkedIn because I use LinkedIn as a lead gen source. So I write a lot about like client case studies, about personal branding, authority building, and I prefer to have that sort of an audience on LinkedIn now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you consider yourself a copywriter? Or no, it's totally different.
In some ways, yes, because when we when we work with our clients, we want their LinkedIn post to generate leads.
Leads. Yeah.
So in that sense, yes, it's copywriting. But I think it's just one more step ahead where we not only have to understand the product, but actually understand the personality of the client that we're working with. It's more personal. And I think it also has more gravity, the content, because if I'm writing for your company, you might be okay with certain sort of messaging, but if I'm writing for you, your content is a representation of you as a person.
Yeah.
And if somebody meets you at an event, or they meet you, or they are doing a podcast, everything that you've written has to align with who you are right now. So I think that the stakes are a little bit more higher. So that emotional, you know, heaviness is more in this sort of copywriting, let's say.
Okay. Would
Yeah.
you suggest someone? I know people that only write educational posts.
Yeah.
Is that good or bad?
I think if your educational post has context towards your own life, that is good.
Okay. Stories.
Stories, because let's say I'm talking about charging in advance, right? Fine. It's not a big deal. Oh, you should get, you should charge 100% in advance before you start the work. But when I talk about it in context of, listen, Indian freelancers don't get paid that way. They don't get paid at all because they don't charge upfront. So clients take the work and then they don't pay because they don't have a reason to, right? You can't trust someone so much. If I give context, suddenly there's more weightage to the story, and then it's not a chat GPT response. Then people are looking, also again, like just coming back to this whole personal thing, right? Everything that I teach could technically be something that people can get online through ChatGPT. Like, hey, how do I build a business? Hey,
Yeah.
how do I charge in advance? Hey, how do I answer this objection? That's fine. But the thing is, ChatGPT does not show you what all these efforts can result in. I am the result of that. I'm the result of all the actions I've taken. So if somebody wants to be like me, they have to take certain actions which kind of align with what I have taken. So it's more like, who do you want to be like? Where do you want to be? Who do you look up to? Who inspires you? And you kind of just try to listen more to their advice because it comes from a certain mindset, and you want to adopt all of that, not just the action that it comes with.
Okay. Okay. I understand. That's a lot of
Yeah.
words, but yeah.
Yeah.
I understand. Okay. So now, right now, what you do for clients is build their personal brand.
Yes.
So that's the main thing that you do, right?
Yes.
On LinkedIn. So these are mainly B2B services.
Could be B2B or B2C.
Is B2C on LinkedIn?
Yeah, it could be, let's say, coaches, people who work one on one high ticket services. So we've had quite a bit of success with that.
Which business model usually comes to you? Is it B2B or B2C?
I would say like 30% would be coaches, B2C, and
Yeah.
then 70% would be B2B, yeah.
So coaches like business coaches.
Executive coaches, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there people selling like courses on LinkedIn?
There are, but I would say it's not direct course selling. It's more like they do have a course and they will have a newsletter that they would promote through LinkedIn. They would have, let's say, some sort of webinar, and then they would get people to buy the course as an upsell. So I think LinkedIn is a very good way to get people into your system, but not really directly sell a course. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you this. So I have like a marketing agency,
Yeah.
right? So what is the difference between if I post content on LinkedIn to get clients versus Instagram or Facebook?
You have a marketing agency.
Yeah.
And who's your client?
I help
like?
coaches, consultants, and course creators scale their
Okay.
business. Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of times what we've noticed is creators are typically not active by themselves on Instagram. They typically have a marketing agency. So what we've noticed is on LinkedIn, there is a direct connect. LinkedIn and X, we ghostwrite for both platforms. There is a direct connect with the founder because they typically respond to their own inbox as compared to Instagram. That's what we've seen. But I think for, let's say, if you're targeting a coach, depending on who their target audience is, LinkedIn might be a really solid place for you. So if your target, like if you're the coaches that you work with,
Yeah.
if their target audience is also business owners, is also newbies, as freelancers, is people who are in the agency space, it's people who want to make money online, for example, I think LinkedIn has a lot of value. Plus, LinkedIn does very well with text content. So I think it's lower effort for somebody who cannot create a lot of video content. Instagram is video first.
Yeah.
It requires a team. It requires ideally a studio to shoot. It requires you have an editor. It requires that, again, you're up to a date with all the trends and edits, blah, blah. LinkedIn, you can do a text post and you can upload a picture, maybe a small graphic design, and it's good to go. And it has much more reach compared to Instagram.
Okay.
So I think the value is also, in your case, of course, it's why not both. It's
Yeah.
more like that. But for a lot of people, if they're starting smaller, LinkedIn has easier, entry.
But is there a difference in the type of content? So I'm selling to the same people on
Yeah.
both platforms. Do I
Yeah.
speak differently on Instagram and or Facebook, whatever it is?
Yeah.
What's the difference? I'm asking.
Okay. In terms of the content itself, I think Instagram, you can be a little bit more, let's say, blunt, more direct. What I've noticed works best on LinkedIn, yes, you can have a strong hook, but I think the feel good factor really makes a difference. Because on Instagram, I think people are more used to a little bit of sarcasm, a little bit
Or
of,
dicks.
yeah. So people comment that way as well. On LinkedIn, you will typically find the nicer crowd.
They all hype you up.
Typically, yes.
Even if it's fake.
So,
Right.
yes, yes. But I think that that at least that's what I do for my content. I'm a bit more calm on my LinkedIn. I'm medium on Instagram, and I'm not calm at all on X. So that's
X
how I
is a-
operate. Yeah. And I could post the same thing on 3 different platforms. I've done it.
Yeah.
But still, LinkedIn, it does not really trigger people. I think on LinkedIn, people have more emotional connect to something that is soothing, something that hypes them up, something that is comforting, as opposed to something that is, you need to lock in and, otherwise you will be a failure. No, you need to lock in because, look, this is what you can get when you do.
Okay.
That messaging.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. So it's just the approach of your
The
messaging,
content.
basically,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So one is more like nicer and then okay. I know
Yeah.
X is
X is brutal.
it's hell.
Yeah.
Have you seen some of the tweets? I'm like, how is it even allowed? Like,
It's fun. I think
but it's
fun.
yeah, but
it's fun.
I'm just people are crazy. So I want to ask you, like, is there something that you believed at the start of your career that you don't believe in now?
Oh, wow. What did I believe at the start of my career?
Could be self-limiting beliefs. Could be even the thought of charging higher prices. It could be anything.
Okay. I think with regards to money, let's say, the biggest mindset. So when I started out, I used to think that making money is hard. It is really hard to make money. It's really hard to find clients and actually, grow a business. That has shifted, that making money is easy. It is actually leveraging money that's hard. Because once you start making money, you have kind of cracked the code. Now you know where it comes from. Now you know how to get it. But it's okay, how do you leverage and invest it in the right way? Finding the right people in terms of not only your hires, but also your clients. If you work with the wrong clients, you're actually losing money. So finding the right hires, finding the right clients, finding the right whatever tools, tech stack you use, whatever that may be. So I think it's been that making money is easy, but it's leveraging money that I still need to learn for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question. And
Yeah.
this is for myself. It's advice for me, actually.
Okay.
So I made a lot of money online.
Yeah.
But there's one thing that I'm so bad at. It's hiring.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you have a team, right?
Yeah.
So whenever I hire like VAs, it's fine, right?
Yeah.
Because it's emails and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to finding someone to replace my thing that I do,
Oh. Yeah.
it's so hard that every time when I get someone in, and if they don't do it as good as me, instead of training them because I think it takes too long, I just
Yeah.
do it myself and I let them go.
Yeah.
So what would be your advice to me?
No, I'm on the same boat.
Shit. Okay.
No, I think replacing ourselves is the worst possible thing. And I even like last year I tried to actually break it down. I thought, okay, let's say I'm obviously like I run the business, I own the business. So I can technically do every job that is possible in my business, right? And I do that. I do like 10 different things. So I decided, okay, why not break my role down into like at least 3 or 4 different hires? That didn't work either. So I'm still looking. I literally just spoke to my friend yesterday about what is the best way to replace me. Once I figure it out, we'll do a part 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So, okay, now you've been pretty successful, right? You started a business in Dublin, right?
Yeah.
Why did you move to Dubai then?
So I could not live in Dublin anyway because I'm Indian. I need a visa for everything. And starting a business abroad is really difficult. In Europe, it's almost impossible. I didn't want to move back home. And Dubai at the time was running a freelancer's visa that they were heavily promoting during the lockdown. And so, I looked into some options and it seemed like Dubai was a good place. But 1 year doesn't cut it. Like 1 year on a freelancer visa, it would just take that time to like settle in. So I decided I will just move here. If I don't like it, I can always move back. It's a 3-hour flight home. And, I set up and it's been 3 years. I like it. So I plan to stay here.
3 years. Was it as crowded 3 years ago?
It was not.
It's not.
It was
It's changed a
not.
lot, right?
It
Within
has.
3 years. Do you like it?
I do. I still do. I think it's becoming a better place as well because there's a lot of people moving in. So you have more options, and you will luck out with finding the kind of people that you actually gel with.
You know, the thing is about Dubai is like, a lot of people think like there's a lot of rich people. Yeah, which is true.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of rich young people
Yeah.
my age.
Yeah.
So it's very easy. I was thinking like, okay, Dubai, there's Monaco, all these other places, but it's all old people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
fair. Yeah.
I was like, okay, Dubai is the perfect place. Do you think it like kind of changed your mindset, or did you already have the same mindset, like the growth mindset, or did coming to Dubai make it even better?
Dubai kind of shocked me in the sense that I obviously knew that there were some people out there who were making like a lot of money. But then I would actually meet these people at a party and they were like in front of me. And I'm like, this person is like flesh,
Yeah.
like this person is real.
Oh,
They
real,
they
yeah.
have the same amount of time as me and they have the same like oxygen that they breathe
Yeah.
and they're real people. And I think one of the people that I met here like sold a business for $500 million and the most chill person ever. Like we were just talking because he is also from India and we were just talking about being back at home and it was not about work at all. So I think I realized that people are just normal and a lot of people who build big things, they're just like me. They're human, but they just made certain sacrifices and choices early on that got them to where they are. So it's possible for anyone. It's not about whether you can make money or not. It's about whether you're willing to sacrifice certain things to become the person that can make that much money.
I mean, you
So,
probably sacrificed a lot of things as well, isn't it, when you were starting out?
I think so.
Yeah, probably. I did.
Probably.
Yeah, but I think it's possible for anyone if they
It is.
because it's just a string of decisions that you make that become
Yeah.
who you are, right? If you
Yeah.
make bad decisions, well, you're gonna be shit,
Yeah.
right? And do you feel like people know what the right decision is, or do you think they actually don't know?
Right decision with respect to what?
So let's say it's something as simple as taking action, discipline. So do you think people know like, okay, if I want to get this business up and running or want to be rich,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
they already know what it takes to be rich?
Yeah.
Or do you think they actually don't know?
I think people actually don't know.
Okay.
Because yes, there's a lot of stuff you need to do on paper. Like if you do 1, 2, 3 things, you will likely have a business that makes at least 10K a month, let's say. But for a lot of people, they don't know where to start. So they know that, okay, I have to do all of these things. But if, like me, if you're a solo founder, you struggle with just knowing, okay, what is my focus point right now? I wish there were 4 more of me doing all the
Yep.
stuff together, but that's not happening. So I think a lot of people don't know in that sense first. Like even in terms of the action, where should I start? What is my focus area? They waste a lot of time. I've been there, done that. And depending on each stage, I do that all over again. But second, people also don't realize how much actual sacrifice it takes, because you can't think of, oh, I will have my weekends off. It sounds nice. Again, on paper, it sounds nice that yes, I will, slog Monday to Friday, and weekend I will chill and party, and then I'll be back Monday. It does not happen, because it's not about what you're doing. It's not about like sitting in front of the laptop, but even in your mind, you have to constantly be thinking about the same thing, so that when you hop from Friday to Monday, you're already 10 steps ahead on, okay, I've figured this out. So I think even sacrificing the weekends is something, like, for example, that people don't realize. That's the kind of commitment it takes to actually get where you want to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then the people in Dubai you met, right? Like,
Yeah.
have you probably met like very rich people?
Mm-hmm.
What is it? I'm not very rich.
You're there.
So like you and
Yeah.
them,
Yeah.
what do you see like the difference is that they've done that you have not done?
It's a good question. I think they've really slogged a lot. Some of my closest friends, they're doing like at least 500,000 a month. And the thing I see about them is that they're always busy. I don't know when they sleep.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I've tried that as well. I've had, months where I have slogged, but it didn't work out for me. I realized that I cannot sacrifice sleep. And I've had months where I would just stop, no gym, no, cooking, just ordering all the time, because there's no time for anything else. You're just on calls all day, hiring, firing, sales calls, blah, blah. And it's a lot of work. And I realized that I don't think I want that life right now. So yeah, I think the level of slogging is way too much.
So you like where you're at now, like in terms of hours you work? Sorry.
That's a good point. I don't think so. I'm working up on it again, because I think summer is a good time here in Dubai to just, get back to work. So that's how I'm using it. Compared to like during the winter, I was just having the time of my life.
Just
Yeah.
enjoying Dubai.
Just enjoying Dubai, yeah.
Have you been on dates in Dubai?
A couple.
How do you find it from a girl's perspective? Because it's interesting.
I don't know. I think it's all right. I haven't been on the kind of date where, it would be like, oh, I met this extremely rich guy and he did this. No, it's not like, I don't have any interesting stories like that. It's been just very normal, I think. And I haven't like really dated. So it's not something I actively do. I don't use any dating apps.
Okay.
If I meet someone and I come across someone and we hang out, that would be my version of, okay, we dated or we went on a date, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it will happen when it happens, maybe. But
Okay.
yeah.
Do you feel like I don't know how to ask this question, but like, do you feel like the men in Dubai, right? Do you feel like they lead with their wallet? It's because I'm rich, I deserve a girl like this.
I have genuinely not yet met somebody that I would want to be with, so I couldn't comment on that. I think if I would have met someone like that, I would have, spent some time and I would have been able to comment. But I don't care how somebody is, because I really just never wanted to be with them. So I don't think I've noticed. I think in general, like even the people that I like hanging out with, for me, it's mostly about presence. Like, can this person be present and not talk about work the whole time? I don't think we both knew what we do. We just kind of met over dinner and we just talked.
about other things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we didn't talk about like what we do. I didn't know you have a marketing
Yeah.
agency. You didn't know I have a LinkedIn agency, and we just decided to do this podcast. That's it. I think that's where like it just leads with conversation as opposed to leading with the wallet. That's a good thing. But also people are nice. So my friends pay for stuff sometimes, and I pay for them sometimes. So yeah, it's normal.
Would you want a guy to earn more than you?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Anyone who's watching, like, they're just getting a checklist right now. Everything Shreya wants.
Yeah. Okay, would you rather have full creative freedom but inconsistent income, or guaranteed 50K a month, but you can only create what others tell you to?
Oh, wow. That's interesting. As long as it's not like content that goes against my morals and value systems, if you know what I mean, then I would take the second one. I would try it out.
Take the second one, the guaranteed 50K a month.
Yeah.
Okay. Have a business that runs itself but bores you, or one you love but can never step away from?
Then the first one.
Oh yeah, even I forgot the first one. Okay. A
Yeah.
business that runs itself but bores you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're driven more, would you say you're driven more by money?
I think I'm driven more by freedom, because even if I have a business that runs, even if it's boring, but it's making good money and it runs by itself, I have time to create more content, to travel, to do everything I want.
Oh, true. So it's what
So
the
more
money brings
freedom.
for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
How I can use it.
So it doesn't necessarily mean the thing that makes you money, you need to be passionate in that thing.
Yeah, I don't believe in that.
Yeah, same. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. Okay.
Who's passionate about LinkedIn? Please tell me. I don't know
I feel like
anyone.
some people just say it, right? Like, I would still do it even if I didn't get paid. No,
Yeah, I
no, you
wouldn't.
wouldn't.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, of course you wouldn't. Who would?
I don't think anyone would. Yeah.
Maybe an artist draws or something. I guess
Maybe,
you would
yeah.
do that.
Like, I would write on X even if I wouldn't get paid. Like, I enjoy
Okay.
writing on X. But would I run a whole agency without getting paid? No.
Yeah, you wouldn't help clients for free, right?
Yeah, of
Okay.
course.
I just want to touch on something before
Yeah.
I get into the last questions.
Yeah.
So you talked about how people in India, they usually can't charge a lot more. So what made you be able to do it, and what keeps them back? Is it just in their head, or is it really down to your skill and how you speak?
Obviously, the purchase power is different
Yep.
in India compared to here. I think now it's improving quite a bit, to be honest, because I'm seeing that people are charging at least $500 a month for like marketing services, which used to be like 50, 100 a few years ago. I'm seeing the shift. A lot of people are creating content about charging in advance, etc. So that shift is there. I think it came from just nobody creating the sort of content or the sort of impact that would make people question the way that they are operating, right? So to be honest, even freelancing as a term, like I started talking more about it, and people would still ask me like, what is freelancing? How do I convince my parents to let me do it? How do I try it? And it takes time. So I think I obviously had the benefit of being abroad. My first client said he would pay me 75 euros for dollars for an article, which was
How much
pretty
again? Sorry?
high. $75.
$5, okay.
Yeah, for one article that was like 400 words or something. Compare that to if that was in India, I would probably get paid like
50?
2,
2?
3, 2 or 3.
$3?
Yeah. At the time, because people were paying like $1 is like 85 rupees, let's say. Now we are talking about 1 rupee. Slice that into 4. That's how much people get paid per word.
Okay.
That's 25 paisa, which is like, you could
Cents
say.
in rupees.
Yeah,
Okay.
25. 4 of that make 1 rupee. 85 of that make $1. Do some math. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous. So I would have been paid like, yeah, 2, 3, maybe $4 for that article. I was paid 75. And I didn't realize that was high or that was not the industry standard, because I did not have everything is self-taught. I did not learn anything from anywhere. The first 3 years, I just learned everything through experience by saying yes, no, working for people. That's it. So when I got my first client and he said 75, and then I had this other Indian client come up, he said, I'll pay you $50 a month for social media marketing. I'm like, I just got paid 75 for
For
like
one.
2 hours of work.
Yeah.
What's happening? I said no. And eventually we settled at like $150 or $200 a month. So I think just getting that first client who paid me quite well, it really helped me set my standard that I'm going to charge at least worth on that, scale. And obviously, like, I am well spoken. I'm really good at writing. My English is clean in terms of my accent, in terms of my comprehension, reading, writing, grammar. Everything's very clean, which is also something a lot of Indian freelancers tend to struggle with. But above all, I think it would be confidence. Because even though I may have messed up a few times, I was always confident about the kind of work I was doing. And I have not let a client kind of get away with, bad behavior or with bad terms and conditions, or just get their way with everything.
You have your
Even though,
boundaries.
even though I was like 18 talking to this 50-year-old
Yeah.
guy, I don't care. And he, like, one person literally told me, I have students who have, graduated from the best MBA colleges. They're getting paid like 10% of what you're asking for. And they're working for me from the office. I literally told him on the call, yeah, I'm not them.
Yeah.
And if they could help you, you would have spoken to them. Why are you speaking to me?
Exactly.
And he was like, how are you talking to me like that? And he was impressed, but he was shocked. So yeah, I think it's also how you approach things with like confidence. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to have boundaries and
Yeah.
like, yeah, I think that
Stand
makes
your
sense.
ground, like really stand your ground with
If you
things.
don't stand your ground, especially in business, you get walked over.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Totally.
people will take advantage of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think it's would you give different advice to girls
Mm-hmm.
than guys in entrepreneurship?
I think yes. Now I would.
Now you would.
Now I would.
Oh, what would be
Now
your
I
advice
see it.
to like girl entrepreneurs?
Girls have a lot more responsibility, to be honest. I was thinking about this actually just yesterday, that for the initial few years of building my freelancing thing, I lived like a man, genuinely. Because I obviously had a small room back in Dublin. It was just a room and a shared kitchen. I would cook my own meals, but it was always like egg and rice, or pasta. That's it, like two bland meals. I would cook once in the morning, and that's done for the day. I would live on protein shakes and eggs. I would not clean my room. I'm assuming that's how a man lives. I would not clean my room. I would just have maybe once a month, I would actually, clean everything. I would leave my laundry to the last minute. I would just get up and work. Forget the showering, forget the combing of the hair. If I have a video call, I will just, actually put myself together. Otherwise, I don't care.
Yeah.
Slogging. And then I moved to Dubai. I have a nicer apartment. And I realized, wow, it's a lot of work. And these are the things that, I do have a maid who comes in a couple times a week, and I have some help, but you can't take care of a house like, by just leaving stuff around. And it really affects me now in terms of my work. It affects me in terms of my health. I cannot, like, I was younger back then, let's say, but also as I'm getting older, my mom will hate me for saying this. But of course, I'm learning that there's more value in routine. I cannot, pull like 3, 4 a.m. all-nighters and then, wake up at 7 and start working again. I can't do that anymore. And I don't want to. It affects me long-term. So for girls, the whole routine is so different, especially if you're living with family. I live by myself. So it doesn't matter if something's just left away and I'm not really cooking for anyone. I'm just, feeding myself, and
Yeah.
that's a lot of work. So I think for girls, you really need to set really strong boundaries with your family that, hey, I have my 6 or 7 dedicated work hours. Don't knock on my door. Don't bother me. I will, be with my house responsibilities at other times, but this is my time. I think that is very, very important. And for any guy, I think there is a bit more, bit more space there to kind of mess around with these things, because there's not that much responsibility. I'm talking about, again, the Indian girls, I would say. So for the guys, it would be like, if you do have women who are working, help out a bit with home stuff if you can, or just maybe hire a maid for them. That's helpful. But just try to ease things out for anybody who's running an online business. They're not just sitting at home and tapping away on their laptop. It's not like that at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's good advice.
Yeah. Okay.
So where can people find you? Look at the camera.
Everywhere. You can just look up my name, Shreya Patar, and you can find me on Instagram, LinkedIn, X, YouTube. Yeah, and maybe TikTok as well. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for coming.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you.